Okay, I am sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm not gonna apologize for doing this because um I don't have 50 subs on my religious channel right now. So I'm gonna do a religious talk tonight since I did a short uh Sunday discussion yesterday about the Bible on my Bible channel. And I do Bible study on that channel on Sundays for those of you who are also Christian, or even if you're not Christian and you want to get to know about the Bible and you want to, you're curious about it or whatever, I don't expect you to agree with me. I will not pressure you to agree with me. I will not, judge you for whatever belief you are. If you're Catholicist, if you're Jehovah, if you're Buddhist, if, whatever religion you are, atheist, agnostic, I will not judge you. I'm not here for that. I just talk from my heart and from my own beliefs. And I just gotta say, with everything that's gone on in my life, God has just been amazing to me. He's taught me a lot of life lessons. I'm 50 years old now. Yeah, a lot of you are probably like, huh? You don't look 50. But yes, I am 50 years old. I'm not ashamed to say that. And God has done a lot of things for me in my life. He really has. I'm talking about Jesus. Thank you. And, I'm sorry, but I feel like people without Jesus in their life, they're gonna be so lost in their lives. They are gonna be lost. They're not gonna realize it, and probably until they're too late. Those are the people that I pray over, and I also have things that I have to work on because I call myself right now, I would say I'm a lukewarm Christian because, I do things I shouldn't. I still have a potty mouth. I smoke cigarettes and I shouldn't. I drink beer from time to time when I'm in pain. Like I fell 2 days ago twice in the same day, and I'm in so much severe pain. Tonight I'm drinking beer to take the edge off, which, I should be praying instead. But, this is me being honest with you guys. And, well, thank you for saying little person and not being ignorant and saying midgets because that's rude and that's what ignorant people say. Surprisingly, no. I'm Irish. It is. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, James. Surprisingly, no. I'm glad you asked that question. In my 30s, I would say now that, I think anybody can beat me now in a drinking contest it's because of my age, not because I can't handle it, because I'm short. In my 20s, oh my God, yes. And God knows everything I've done, so I can't keep any secrets from him, so I can't lie. He knows everything is the truth that I'm gonna say. In my 20s, I was promiscuous, and yes, I drank a lot, hung out with friends, and I don't know if the Irish thing is true, but that Irish side of me, like, I drank so many of my friends under the table. I mean, they're all normal size, but Yeah, we would drink 40s and like back to back to back. And one night we made, me and my best friend, we were drinking 40s, and then we made apple teenies, I think they were called. Oh my god, that was bomb. I'm not gonna tell y'all people to go make it and everything because I don't want to be a bad influence. But that was bomb. It tasted literally like a red apple, like a real red apple. And so it was the first time I was trying it. And we did a video on it, and we had like liquor and juices all lined up on the table, showing everybody, yeah. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm like, people are gonna think we're alcoholics, you know. And I was like, and we're not. You know. So we kept drinking those. And then I made, because of the ingredients that we had, I ended up making a couple of fuzzy navels. I don't know if you know what that is. I made a few fuzzy navels out of that because I love fuzzy navels. I used to anyway. And yeah, and we had a couple more beers behind that. Heineken's was my go-to beer. Sorry to disappoint you guys. My lightweight beer was Corona with a lime. Yeah, the Mexican piss. Sorry to have to say that. That was my lightweight beer. When I didn't really want to drink beer that much, I went to the Coronas. But my go-to was usually some type of Bud. Like my dad used to drink Budweiser, or oh my god, I drank so many different kinds. Colt 45. There was another one before that. Me and my friend used to buy cans all the time. What was the name of it? It was like a brown can. It wasn't a Colt 45. What was it? It was a C word, I think. But anyways, not to get all into drinking, but yeah, the Irish, it's not a myth. Irish, well, I'm gonna say a majority. No, I said Colt 45. That might have been it in the brown can. I don't know. I'm not. I can't. I need to see the picture again. But anyway, we drank like the I think we bought the 22-ounce cans, and we were just like always getting the Colt 45. So since I'm in pain right now, I'm going to my dad's. May he rest in peace. His old school, what he used to drink, Budweiser. These are lightweight to me, honestly. But yeah, I there was so many of us that used to hang out during the nights, like when I was in my 20s and 30s, and I had friends hanging over, their friends hanging out over at my house. And this is when I was still in New York, though. I was born and raised in New York, so like I was still in my party. I had my own apartment. I was still in my party stages and shit. Sorry, I'm trying not to curse. I was in my potty mouth stages and my drinking stages because I lived alone. It was party time for me. So, yeah, I drank a lot, and no, I never did no heavy drugs. I swear to God, I never did, except for pot a long time ago. The last time I tried it was when I was 35 years old, and I didn't like the paranoia from it, and I didn't really like the cotton mouth. I just didn't, It didn't really do anything for me. But I had friends that smoked, like, my homeboys that at the time they lit up like joint, or like blunt, I should say, blunt after blunt after blunt. And I'm like, dude, like, how are you doing that? Like, damn, you serious? I'm like, I could handle the drinks. Like, that's not a myth with the Irish. Like, I could get down. Like, I'll drink you under the table. If I made a bet with you, yeah, I'll still be going, and you'd be passed out by the time I'm done. Like, I'll still be going, and you'd be out already. Like, you'd be knocked out. Believe me, this is, I swear to you, there's no lie. And it's not anything to brag about, because I was not proud in my actions and things that I did at that time. You know, like I said, this is my my religion discussion here, because I do have a religion channel, and I talk about religion there, and but unfortunately, since I don't have 50 subs over there yet, I have to do little short vlogs, so it's hard, or I have to record sessions, you know, my Bible studies, and it's hard for people to be able to, like, conversate with me if it's not live. You know, I have to go live in order to do a Bible study, you know, if they have any questions for me and stuff. So it makes it really hard and complicated. But, you know, God has been a constant in my life since I was young. And, you know, honestly, like, I don't know how I would have made it so many years without him. You know, he's taught me lessons. He's taught me life lessons. I've learned a lot of knowledge from him. I've learned a lot of sympathy and empathy and support and love, and not just from my parents, but from God too. Like, a lot of things from God. And, like, you know, back then I wanted to give up, because, like, I used to read the Bible and I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, because the Bible had a lot of metaphors. You know, the scriptures at least. And, you know, the thing is, the problem with the scriptures is that some of them seem to contradict some of them, and people don't understand a lot of metaphors, especially back then. So, you know, they get everything twisted. They don't understand it when they try to read it. The King James Bible, I prefer. They you know, they get confused. There's a lot of things they don't understand, and then they give up, and they're like, oh, I can't understand this. Is that, like, I'm confused, like, I don't get it. And, you know, you just talk to people. You can talk to people. You don't have to just read the Bible. Like, the more you know Jesus, the more clear the Bible will become. You could read the Bible like 50 times in a row. No lie. And the closer you get with Jesus, the more the Bible will make sense to you. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It'll start making more sense. The metaphors will start making more sense. Things are becoming more clear to you. You will have dreams and visions and stuff. God will talk to you in your dreams. Yes, he does. I strongly believe that. He has talked to me in mine many times. Showed me what I was doing wrong. You know, and I was like, you know, and his dreams, sometimes his visions will come in, like, kind of like, a little, to me anyway, the ones I've had were encrypted. You know, they were like a little encrypted. Like, I had to figure out what he was telling me and what the vision meant. You know, like, I had to piece it all together. And then it made complete sense when I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And before you forget your dream, because I forget a lot of dreams, write it in a journal or something, the dream you have. If it's a vision, you know, if you feel you're talking to God, you'll hear his voice, you will not see him. Write it down. If you wake up, write it down in a journal. Keep it to yourself. And then this way you could go back and read it and be like, it'll start making more sense to you. Like, oh, now I understand. I understand what you were trying to tell me. I get what you're saying. Please help me. I'm not ready yet. Please help me. Like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not fully ready yet. I'm a lukewarm Christian. Like I said, I smoke cigarettes. I drink beer on occasion every now and then. I'm not ready yet. I'm doing things that's harming my body, which God doesn't want us to do. We're not supposed to do things to harm our body. So, that's why I'm like, I hesitate on like medications the doctors give me, because I'm like, I know I need it, but like, do I really want to take it? Because like, how am I going to be if I don't take it? Like, what's the alternative? And, see, that's the thing. God loves us. No. He just wants us to be who we are. He loves us for who we are. And see, this is what people misunderstand when they say, ooh, damnation, like homosexuality, you're gonna go to hell, it's in the Bible, and this and this and that. And first of all, back then in the ages, they didn't even know what homosexuality, the word itself, meant. Okay, and in the Bible, they were talking about Sodom and Gomorrah, which, if many of you know about the part with Sodom and Gomorrah, that's what they're relating to when they speak of relationships. Okay, and when they were talking about relationships, you gotta read stuff. Okay, even in the book of Genesis, it started from Genesis, right from the beginning, even before Sodom and Gomorrah. This is what people don't know. There were family members who married their own sisters, married their own brothers, married their cousins, and God allowed it to populate the earth at the time. He wanted to populate the earth. So yes, he did allow that. And then later on, when Sodom and Gomorrah happened, he didn't feel it was right, because they were talking about prostitution, infidelity, like, men and women cheating on their husbands and wives. They were talking about women having threesomes and, just chaos, being paid money to have sex, and, stuff like that was unholy. But if you truly had someone that you loved wholly with all your heart, and you were in a committed relationship with, if you followed the laws of God, then no, it was not a sin to say a man and a man to love each other. Yes. Yeah, really. Go look. It started out with Genesis, right in the beginning of the Bible. You could go open it and read it. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. And I'm like, God doesn't care as long as it's a pure love. As long as it's a one-on-one relationship, monogamy. It's whether a guy loves a guy truly to death, a woman loves a woman truly to death. They're not having threesomes and doing all this kinky and nasty and crazy stuff, and taking it like going into porno type stuff. And no, that's not that's not where we're going. Or I'm trying to go with that. God loves you. If you believe in God and you love a woman, James, you love a guy. I'm not saying you're gay, but my cousin's gay. I'm lesbian. If you were gay, God would love you regardless, as long as you don't cheat. You are fully in love, because God is all about love. He really is. God is not about hate. He does not wish bad stuff on people. I wish people would stop saying that. They're like, oh, this bad happened because God did it. And this bad happened because God allowed it to happen. Why didn't God take it away? And why did, you know, a lot of things bad that happen is not God's fault. Okay? Like children that come out with a birth defect, like me. I was born disabled. Okay? When I was younger, yeah, I was hating on God. I'm not going to lie about that. I was, because I felt like it was his fault. But as I got older and I gained more knowledge and started reading more, and just, just getting wisdom and stuff I needed to know about life, I realized that, God didn't make my parents have me. You know what I'm saying? Like, God didn't say, okay, both of you have sex and have a baby so I can make it handicapped. No, God doesn't think stuff like that. Okay? And then my sister was handicapped too. She was older than me, 4 years older than me. She was born handicapped too. And it was a genetic thing in the females in my family. Okay? It was a bone disease is what it is. And so, that wasn't God's fault, because I tried to tell my cousin that, because her son ended up with autism, and one day she sat with me on the sofa before I left. No, yeah, my sister was. My parents were normal height. So my cousin sat with me. My cousin-in-law, I don't know what you, my cousin's wife, she sat with me on the sofa one day before I left. She says, can I talk to you privately for a minute? I said, yeah, sure, what's up? And she says, I just want to know, she's like, how is it that you're okay with being handicapped? Like, why did God make my son autistic? And I said, Tiffany, I says, that's the whole thing people don't understand. That the first instinct is for people to instantly come out and blame God for everything. Why is that? Nobody blames the devil. Nobody talks about the devil or demons, which they should, because it's in the book of Revelations. It's everywhere in the book of Revelations. Okay? Churches, why? A lot of churches stopped talking about the devil and demons and hell and everything and damnation. And so that's why people are blaming everything on God now. And I'm like, Tiffany, I said, look, let me put it this way. I said, so it can make more sense to you. I said, you and Shay, her husband, my cousin, I said, okay, use this, did your little wham bam, did your little freaky deaky, got it on and made a baby. Happened to make a baby. You were fertile at the time and it was just the right time and you had a baby. Okay, your genes. You had issues with your genes, with the genes. God knew. God saw this. Yes, he saw that you were going to have a child that was going to be autistic. His job was only to decide whether you should keep the baby or not. Have a miscarriage, okay? And take the baby to heaven with him, okay? That was it. He didn't make the baby handicapped or disabled. He didn't do that. He doesn't cause that. The genes in the husband and wife cause that. He already knows what's going to happen. So he just decides whether it's going to be born or it's not. He's going to be like, my child, that's going to be my child too, autistic or not. I have a purpose for him in life. There's a purpose for him. So he's going to be born. And he's going to be special. Because I know what life I have in store for him. So God allowed him to live. And, a lot of people think like, well, he shouldn't allow him to live if he was going to go through this and that. And that makes people more big-hearted. Like it made me going through what I go through. It made me more, of an empath. It made me more big-hearted. Yeah, I I've gotten used. I've gotten bullied. I've gotten tormented, made fun of, but with all that within that has happened to me, it just gave me a bigger heart. Yeah, it messed with my trust because I was like, a lot of people took advantage of me because of my big heart. They did. And I'm like, okay, but I learned from that. Out of everything that bad that comes your way, there's a lesson to be learned from that. And that's what God wants you to teach you. Hey, Jay. Yeah, everything is going great. I'll try not to make this vlog too long, and then I'll come back and just have my regular nighttime fun chats. But for right now, I've been missing out on my Bible channel. I've been behind on it. I've been missing it. And yeah, I lost a lot of subs on that channel, so I can't live stream on my Bible channel yet until I get 50 subs. So unfortunately, sorry for that. But those of you that don't want to hear about the Bible, you can leave the room tonight. My description says it's about religion. Just please not to be rude. I'm gonna try not to make it that long. But at the end of the day, yeah, I've had maybe like close to 30 operations in my life since the day I was born. My first operation was when I was 1 year old. And, back then I used to hate it. My family used to be like, some of my family members, they would even see it. They'd be like, she has a lot of hatred in her, for the way she was born. Like her sister accepts it more than she does, but she has a lot of hatred, and I was like, yeah, that was a big part of it. I didn't like being born handicapped. I didn't. And until a certain person in my life, very special person in my life, came to me one day and had me look at things like in such a different way and in a different light. And so I want to thank her for that, even though I'm not going to say her name. I thank you and I love you so much for that, because within that moment, it helped me to love myself finally. To love my height, love all my scars from my surgeries, because every scar tells a story about your life, what you've been through. Basically like a tattoo. And I got like over 30 tattoos. You know what I mean? Like it may not seem like it, but if you see my arms alone, like you'll see some of them, so some are places you can't see, sorry. And one here. So every one of my tattoos is meaningful to me. I don't get just, Scooby-Doo or Snoopy or a cartoon character. No. Every tattoo I get on me is part of my life or what I've been through or something meaningful that I know years later I won't regret, because even though it stays there and yeah, it's gonna turn green eventually, which kind of sucks, but it's a memory of things I went through in my life, and I'm proud of that. And I look today and I'm like, everything I went through, God made me a survivor. God gave me the strength to go through everything I've gone through. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I would be right now. I don't know what would happen to me right now. I probably would have gave up a long time ago. And been like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't handle it anymore. And I would have been a very negative, self-negative person. But because of his help and the knowledge that I learned, and thanking my parents foremost, not just God, but thanking my parents for, talking to me about God growing up, that means the world to me. I'm glad they did, because they could have been atheist or agnostic, and I could have grown up not learning anything. But see, that's the best part. Even though I'm not going to blame my parents either way, good or bad, because regardless whatever religion your parents are, you could think outside the box. And you could be like, you know what, something don't sound right, or I don't agree with this, or I don't agree with that. So do it yourself. Go outside the box and go to different churches. Go to Catholic church, go to Jehovah church, go to Baptist church, go to Buddhist church, or wherever you want to go. And just one time, just to see if you relate, or you can relate to what they're teaching you, or it makes sense what they're saying to you. And then you could go back again a second time and see if it relates to how you live, how you feel, your emotions. And don't go by what your parents taught you, or how they raised you to be, like, oh, there's science and there's no God and whatever. Or you have to go to confession and this and that. Believe in what you want to believe. Follow your heart when you get older. And your heart will never lead you astray. Like they say, God will never lead you astray. He's the truth, the way, and the life. Through him, Jesus is the only way through God. One way. So, I'm going to end that here, you guys. I hope you enjoy my little sermon. Thank you to James for asking questions about the Bible and stuff. I appreciate that. For those of you who got involved and participated, I truly appreciate that. I hope you subscribe. My religion channel will be back on my religion channel as soon as I get 50 people. But it's not happened yet. But those of you that want to know, I could tell you, it's TBC Jesus Saves TBC at gmail.com. But I mean, the name of my channel is Jesus Saves TBC. That means the backsliding Christian. So if y'all want to subscribe to that channel, that's great. I do sermons. I've been behind on it. I was reading passages from the Bible. I'm still in Genesis. I'm going to change it up a little bit by reading some books that my mom gave me that I think might be really interesting to the beginners. This is from Dr. David Jeremiah, Turning Point, that says, God in the Details. This is one book that he wrote. Okay, and then there's this other one he wrote called It's the Little Things That Mean So Much. This one. Okay, and they're really thin books, so you'll get through them really fast. And then there's, I'm pretty sure there's probably more. I just haven't found out yet. Can't Size Victories. And then, Standing the Test of Time, which is this one. And like I said, he probably wrote more because they're so thin. I don't know. My mom gave me these, so I would have to check up on that. And then those of you who want to start out the easy way, it's not for kids. Don't be ashamed if it's for kids. I got somebody else to start out that way that wanted to learn more about Jesus and stuff and got confused by the King James Bible. You know, with thee, thou, thy, and, you know, they got confused. So I would recommend your first book starting out would be the Children's Living Bible. Start out with that one and then switch to the King James Bible. Then not only that, once you get through that, there's also this book, New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. You can buy this. This explains more in detail about the scriptures, where people get confused. You know, like I was saying earlier, people get confused and, you know, because of the metaphors and stuff. But, yeah, that'll help you out, too, on the side. So, yeah, I'm going to leave that here. If you guys have any questions, leave comments below. I'll be right back in a second. So, if you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Anytime you want to be notified of a new video, hit that post notification bell down below. Until next time, love y'all. God bless always, and peace.